Language itself is permanently dancing with us. Poems kind of haunt you, you know. They tend to travel with you throughout the years. And then as your experience of life deepens or changes, lines out of a poem would come and help you to understand the event that initially puzzled you. And a poem is, or can be, a form of pure education.
Brendan was born in Ballylongford in 1936 to a family of 8 children. He had 5 brothers, Colin, John, Alan, Paddy, Kevin. And he had 2 sisters, myself, Nancy, and Mary. We lived in a pub most of our lives. Brendan loved the pub and it was a great influence on him. I suppose the first influence on him, of course, would have been my mother and father. My mother being a nurse, she instilled in us a feeling of caring, and Brendan would have brought that with him. He cared a lot for her, and as a student, when he came home, he worked in the pub to let her have an hour off. He painted the windows in the house. He was a good son. He loved my father's music, and the fact that my father was a lovely dancer, and he liked talking to him, and they sat up at night having discussions and talks by the fire.
He's gone, like he's dead at this stage, but nevertheless, I'm speaking to him directly. He was a father of 8 children, and the story behind them is he was in America and he got engaged to a beautiful American girl, and he came back to say goodbye to all his friends in Ballylongford and in his home in Farnastack. And my mother was a nurse down in Dunmanway in County Cork, and she was going to stay there. Came up to Ballyline in Ballylongford, went to Ballybunion, where my father went. They met there, fell in love in the night, came back into the village and got married shortly afterwards. And he built a little garage there, which is still there. But every morning he came down. I can't whistle myself. And he'd put his hands around my mother's head, and she'd smile and let him, and then he'd sing. I see you dancing, Father. No sooner downstairs after the night's rest and in the door than you started to dance a step in the middle of the kitchen floor. And as you danced, you whistled. You made your own music, always in tune with yourself. Well, nearly always, anyway. You're buried now in Lislochton Abbey, and whenever I think of you, I go back beyond the old man, mind and body broken, to find the unbroken man. It is the moment before the dance begins. Your lips are enjoying themselves, whistling an air. Whatever happens, or cannot happen, in the time I have to spare, I see you dancing, Father. I should say also that it's in the voice of bread, and that's a very old Irish tradition. I am the wind on the sea. I am the wave on the shore. I am the salmon in the waterfall. I am everything except me. You know, and so it's the bread talking, and my mother's fingers making bread for all the children in the morning, and feed them at night with nice bread, new bread. Bread. Someone else cut off my head in a golden field. Now I am recreated by her fingers. This moulding is more delicate than a first kiss, more deliberate than her own rising up and lying down. I am fine as anything in this legendary garden, yet I am nothing till she runs her fingers through me and shapes me with her skill. The form that I shall bear grows round and white. It seems I comfort her, even as she slits my face and stabs my chest. Her feeling for perfection is absolute. So I am glad to go through fire and come out shaped like her dream. In my way, I am all that can happen to men. I came to life at her finger ends. I will go back into her again. I might have a phrase in my mind, or a picture, or an image of my father's hands, or a word that I hear in a Dublin conversation, or a dream. I write a lot about dreams, and I would let it steep in my mind, and then I would take up my pen, usually in the morning about 6 o'clock, having woken up and have a cup of coffee, and I'd let it flow. And I might write page upon page upon page, and out of that I might take 10, 20 lines, and I would refine those and try to get them right. Sometimes I don't rewrite much. I kind of try to get it right at the beginning, and it does come out sometimes. But writing is a very mysterious process as well. Dear autumn girl, those helter-skelter days when mad leaf argosies drive at my head, I try but fail to give you proper praise for the excitement you've created in my world. An islander at sea, a girl with child, a fool, a simple king, garrulous masters of true mockery, my hugest world becomes the littlest thing whenever you walk smiling through a room, and your flung golden hair is still wet, ready for September's homaged rays. I see what is, I wonder what's to come. I bless what you remember or forget, and recognize the poverty of praise. Now, there's two things I'd like to say about that. That girl is the girl I married later. And the second thing is, some things haunt women, even in their natural conversation. The way they touch their hair. And it's unconscious often, but it's a form of self-delight, almost as if they were thanking God for giving them this gift, this beautiful gift of, as they say in Kerry, a head of hair. And it's a lovely way to enjoy the self. I was talking to my daughter, and it came to me, years later. She's 45 or 6 now. And I still like to read this poem, because I learn from it now. It's about both the wisdom of a child and the anger that goes with such wisdom. Just 3 years of age. A child, a little girl. So I'll try to bring out the wisdom and the anger and the eternal sense of questioning that children are capable of. Poem from a 3-year-old. Wisdom and anger. Will the flowers die? And will the people die? And every day, do you grow old? Do I grow old? No, I'm not old. Do flowers grow old? Old things, do you throw them out? Do you throw old people out? And how you know a flower that's old? The petals fall. The petals fall from flowers. And do the petals fall from people too? Every day more petals fall until the floor where I would like to play, I want to play, is covered with old flowers and people, all the same, together lying there, with petals falling on the dirty floor. I want to play. The floor? You come and sweep the floor with the huge broom. The dirt you sweep. What happens all the dirt? What happens all the dirt? You sweep from flowers and people. What happens all the dirt? Is all the dirt what's left of flowers and people? All the dirt there in a heap under the huge broom that sweeps everything away? Why you work so hard? Why brush and sweep to make a heap of dirt? And who will bring new flowers? And who will bring new people? Who will bring new flowers to put in water where no petals fall onto the floor where I would like to play? Who will bring new flowers that will not hang their heads like tired old people wanting sleep? Who will bring new flowers that do not split and shrivel every day? And if we have new flowers, will we have new people to keep the flowers alive and give them water? And will the new young flowers die? And will the new young people die? And why? Wisdom and anger. As so often happens, it's when people are talking, they're saying much more than they think they're saying. And a 3-year-old can say things that at the time of saying it is pure sincerity, and then in a moment's reflection they're angry at what they said.
I think that education, as I understand it, is letting yourself grow. I choose my words very deliberately because I think a lot of people strangle themselves spiritually and imaginatively, and that unhappiness is not something that's inflicted on a lot of people. Unhappiness is something that a lot of us create for ourselves. Education is a way of developing your spirit and of helping yourself to express yourself.
I remember being on the Late Late with Gay Byrne on Cromwell, and he asked me, why did I choose to write Cromwell? And I said, because I just said he was a human being. And I had gone to England to read Cromwell's letters. And his letters to his children, for example, were full of fatherly love and advice. And he would finish one letter, which was full of fatherly love and advice, and he'd simply say, I must go now. I must go now. Don't forget to look after yourselves and look after each other. I have a little work to do in Ireland. Came over to County Louth and various places like that and wiped thousands of people off their lives. Oliver to his brother. Loving brother, I am glad to hear of your welfare and that our children have so much leisure they can travel far to eat cherries. This is most excusable in my daughter, who loves that fruit and whom I bless. Tell her I expect her. She writes to me often, and that she be kept in some exercise. Cherries and exercise go well together. I have delivered my son up to you. I hope you counsel him. He will need it. I choose to believe he believes what you say. I send my affection to all your family. Let sons and daughters be serious. The age requires it. I have things to do, all in my own way. For example, I take not kindly to rebels. Today, in Burford churchyard, Cornet Thompson was led to the place of execution. He asked for prayers, got them, died well. After him, a corporal, brought to the same place, set his back against the wall and died. A third chose to look death in the face, stood straight, showed no fear, chilled into his pride. Men die in their different ways, and girls eat cherries in the Christ-blessed fields of England. Some weep, some have cause. Let weep who will. Whole floods of brine are at their beck and call. Oh, I have some work to do in Ireland. Came home and slaughtered thousands of Irish. Poetry is risky in the sense that it is an act of hopeful discovery. You are trying to put into words something that you feel deeply about. For example, I think that poem, Begin, the very word begin is one of the great words of human history, where I suppose we all grew up listening to where did the world begin? How did it begin? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And you learn it off as a child, but it's only as the years go by that you become aware of the meaning of what it actually means to begin. And I did a poem called Begin, which was written in Dublin after an operation on my heart. And I was in intensive care after the operation, and all I felt was a sense of gratitude that I was alive, and as I were beginning to live again. And today I understand that it's a poem that is said at, well, funerals, for example, and at weddings, strangely enough, and at the renewal of broken friendships. There's an old Irish saying, Tasach ma la nahibra. That is, a good beginning is half the work. Every day is a beginning. Every moment you put your leg outside the bed, you know, you're starting. And that's what I felt. I remember when I wrote this little poem, I was in the hospital where I had this bypass, as they call it, operation. And what I felt was, when I woke up after the operation, I lay there and I just began to think, God, I am alive. After all that, what they did to me, chopping me up and so on. And it was like a new opportunity. And I've had letters from people, including politicians, who read this poem and felt that maybe they failed in the last election, but stick at it and you might get into the Dáil next time round. Begin again to the summoning birds, to the sight of light at the window. Begin to the roar of morning traffic all along Pembroke Road. Every beginning is a promise, born in light and dying in dark. Determination and exaltation of springtime, flowering the way to work. Begin to the pageant of queuing girls, the arrogant loneliness of swans in the canal. Bridges linking the past and future, old friends passing, though with us still. Begin to the loneliness that cannot end, since it, perhaps, is what makes us begin. Begin to wonder at unknown faces, at crying birds in the sudden rain, at branches stark in the willing sunlight, at seagulls foraging for bread, at couples sharing a sunny secret, alone together, while making good. Though we live in a world that dreams of ending, that always seems about to give in, something that will not acknowledge conclusion insists that we forever begin.
Do you know what kills an awful lot of people? Respectable caution. And writing is the opposite of that. daring, throwing caution to the winds, letting yourself happen the way God made you.
I would say, enjoy yourself. By that I mean, you have a beautiful voice. And if you find a poem that you enjoy, go in a room sometime and read it aloud to yourself. And if you have any modern machinery to record your reading of that poem to yourself, sit alone and turn on the little machine and hear your own voice reading the poem that you like, and learn from yourself. And always remember that poetry is to be loved, and that in order to love poetry, you must learn to love your own voice.